This is the study guide for Exam 2 of World Religions. This is generally going over Buddhism, and as Hinduism migrated to the east. So Buddhism is the largest variety and offshoot, and this is what it began to break into and branch off of, and what carried over as it migrated east. So the Buddhism creed, or the Buddhist creed, is I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, and I take refuge in the Sangha. The Sangha is the actual Buddhist community. The life of the Buddha, who one of his names was Siddhartha Gautama. He was an Indian prince, also called Shakyamuni. The term Buddha, or enlightened one, Buddhists care less about historicity versus legend. The Jataka tales, or Jataka tales, what were the Buddhist previous lives. So these were tales about the previous lives of the Buddha. Likely born in the 6th century BCE, this sect, Siddhartha was born into the Kshatriya caste, and Siddhartha's father pushed him into the line of king lineage, as opposed to the great sage line. The Buddha wanders across four sites and comes upon an old man, one sick man, one dead man, and then one ascetic man, one of the renunciants. The Buddha abandoned his family and lived his life of asceticism. There is the image of the emaciated Buddha sitting under a fig tree called the Bodhi tree. He has a shift of consciousness under the tree and achieves nirvana. Nirvana is an analog to moksha, or escaping the wheel of samsara. The Dharma becomes the backbone of Buddhist thought. And there are 4 noble truths. So one is life is suffering, suffering known as dukkha or dukkha. There is obvious suffering, suffering of change, and suffering even in the midst of pleasure. Suffering is caused by desire. You end suffering by quenching desire. Getting rid of desire is nirvana. Nirvana is snuffing out of the candle, so the flame of desire, if you will. Fourth, you can achieve nirvana through the Eightfold Path. Conduct, action, how you think, how you meditate. This is a very self-sufficient path. The Anatman view, eightfold, right conduct, right wisdom. After Buddha's enlightenment, he has to deal with the Sangha, the community. The disciples form a community of monks known as the bhikkhus. Bhikkhu is a beggar. And the nuns are bhikkhunis. They are fed by the laity. The monk class provides religious services, education, and medical support. A king could be a high-powered layman that could provide support to the monk class or the bhikkhus. The laity do earn merit by supporting the monks. King Ashoka, Buddhists are missionaries, Hindus are not. Ashoka supports the missions. This is around the 3rd century BCE. Buddhists could not survive the Muslim takeover of India. The Tripitaka, or the three baskets, are the sutras, the Vinayas, and the Abhidhammas. Parinirvana is nirvana without residue. The sutras are teachings of the Buddha by Ananda. The Vinayas are the regulations of the monks, and the Abhidhammas is the philosophical discourse, the teaching of the Dharma. Anatta and Anatman are the no-self view. Sanskrit versus Pali, the languages, getting rid of the desire of you continues through time. Stage 1 is the no self. And stage 2, does anything exist at a time at all? And stage 3 is nothing is true. If nothing is true, then Buddhist thought cannot be true. And this is what develops into kind of a Zen Buddhism. You ought to abandon the thought that anything is true. There's something called the koans. These are phrases that Zen masters would ask students to repeat, like, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Sunyata is emptiness. Net of Indra, everything out there reflects the is. It's full of cosmic fractal meaning. What happened when Buddhism went east? Buddhism couldn't survive when Islam moved in. This caused a splintering of sects. When it moved, original Buddhism, known as the Theravada, most closely resembles the original Buddhism of the Buddha. This is generally practiced in Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia, but not in Vietnam. Theravada is the simplest variant of Buddhism. A monk will go into the community with a begging bowl. So bhikkhu translates as beggar. This is very self-reliant. You work out your own salvation to achieve nirvana. Arat, someone who has achieved nirvana by following the path of the Buddha. So Maha, again, translating as great, Yana, vehicle, Mahayana Buddhism, great vehicle Buddhism. Part of this is the Lotus Sutra. This is relevant to the Tripitaka, or the three baskets. Man must coax his children out of a burning house. So the dad tricks them with being able to drive a fake Lamborghini. The kids get the opportunity to escape the burning house and to take the path of the true great vehicle. So Mahayana uses the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva holds off on disappearing to heaven and chooses to stay and help others find and move along the path. So Bodhisattva holds off on the disappearing. You can become a celestial Bodhisattva. This word is really long and I'm going to butcher it. Avalokti Teshavara. Are you severing? Now we're getting into the Guanyin. So the Chinese, Guanyin equals infertility. Amitava or Amida. This is the Japanese. You call upon Amida or Amitava to be raised up into the Pure Land. This is the variety of Pure Land Buddhism. The Buddhist Church of America takes this type of position. Tibet has its own Buddhism. This is the Vajrayana or Thunderbolt Buddhism. This also gets into Tantrism. The Dalai Lama, Dali being translating as ocean, and Lama as guru or teacher, so kind of an ocean of wisdom. He is a religious and spiritual and political leader. Tenzin Gyatso, or Japanese Buddhism, is kind of the Mahayana variety. The Kamakura period of the 13th century is a crisis era, partly due to the Mongol invasion. Kamakura and Mappo wants to convey that it's a degenerate age. So one is Pure Land, let go and call on Amida. This is exemplified by Honen and Shinren, leaders and advocates of the Pure Land variety. Nichiren, who may have been a Hebrew that moved east into the land. This is all about repent, and purification of the self. Focus on yourselves and be saved. And then the third variety is from Dogen, or the Zen master. There is no Mappo, just sit and watch. Chinese religion, it isn't very strict. You can be everything all the time. It's kind of interchangeable. So Chinese has Buddhism, Confucianism, and it also has Taoism, from the Tao Te Ching. The Chinese are generally participating in all these things. They are diffuse. The 6th century BCE brings about Taoism and Confucianism. There was already primal religion in China, so you have a lot of animism, ancestor worship, family ties and burial rituals, things of that nature. The aged are venerated in China. There is worldly ritual, things like praying for rain, things like of that nature. Divination, what is God saying about the future? And this is leads into the I Ching, the throwing of coins matched with verses, and the yin yang, or yi jing. There is also the I Ching. Qing is classic, or one of the oldest. So this the Shang dynasty comes about 1766 to 1122 BCE. This is the first dynasty to unify China. One of the last kings of the Shang sacrificed like 9,000 people when he died. This kind of led to the downfall of the Shang, that led into the Zhou. Yin and yang, masculine, feminine, on and on. Opposites that are in harmony in relation with each other, a balance of working in harmony. There would be a system of gods matched to political dynasties. This brought about the Di, the god. The Shang invented the Di, Shang Di. The Zhou brought about the mandate of heaven. The Zhou pointed out the brutality of the Shang. and their lack of virtue, this supposedly caused the calamity. They lost the favor of God and the cosmos. Confucius was very different. Kung Su, or Master Kong. Confucius is alive during the 6th century BCE at the collapse of the Zhou. Confucius was mainly employed as a teacher. He wanted to develop a harmonious society. So you were to develop virtue, or Ren, to fully express yourself, becoming fully human, a flourishing human being. So you have the swooped point arrowhead tree type symbol that is person, and then the smaller slash over the larger, meaning for the number 2. So this basically indicates these symbols. You cannot flourish alone. We are acting as a whole. One must develop Li, which is propriety, ritual, etiquette, the 5 relationships. Respect your elder. Father rules over the son. Elder brother rules younger brother. Husband rules over the wife. Elder over the junior. Ruler over the subject. The view of the cosmos is rule of the self. To have a happy family, the family must be harmonious. If the family is harmonious, the community will be well. If the community is well, the state will be well. And if the state is well, the world will be well. Confucianism was meritocratic. There could be social mobility. There are 5 classics and the 4 books. The Analects of Confucius. And then Mencius versus Yun. Mencius, we are good by nature, humans, and Yun says humans are naturally evil and nasty. Societal virtue of Confucianism. Buddhists don't like confronting the Confucian establishment. They're kind of oil and water. They don't go together very well, and you could see why. Taoism, 6th century BCE, was amenable for Buddhists. There's a lot of crossover there in thinking and philosophy and righteous, virtuous behavior. Lao Tzu is the founder of Taoism. Confucius was definitely real. Lao Tzu may not have been. Tao, meaning the way, and Dai, meaning power, and Qing, being classic. So it is roughly translates as the classic book of the way and its power, by Lao Tzu. The fundamental reality of the Tao cannot be described. Live a simple life. This is best. The experience of Wu Wei, or effortless effort. Water always bends and adjusts, but water always wins. This is kind of like in martial arts and water carving canyons. Philosophical Taoism becomes a countercultural revolution because Confucianism was the dominant ethos of the state. The fundamental value becomes life itself. There's no rat race. Religious Taoism is about extending life as far as you can, extending it into forever. This gets into alchemy and transmutation. They literally begin to try and extend life as far as possible. This creates gods that are associated with alchemy and potions. gods always come back. So now the Shinto is the Japanese version. So Shinto, Shin is of the gods, and Do, way, so way of the gods. Kami, the Kami are the gods or the spirits. Amaterasu is the high goddess. So Shinto had to be dissolved at the end of World War II. Tenrikyo Shinto is still around. Tenrikyo is monotheistic. There is no anime. It includes a lot of faith healing, and it is the virtue of gratitude. And then the Tori is the showing of the shrine gate.